Looking forward to our next conversation back in Louisiana, where the guy deserves to be one of the best recruiters in college football. Spent the past couple of seasons over at Texas San Antonio, but before that was at LSU as the lead recruiter. Spent time at Ole Miss, Southern Miss, and Tennessee, but now head coach over at McNeese with the Cowboys in Lake Charles with the football program is New Orleans native Frank Wilson, who's joining us here on Off the Bench on this Wednesday morning. Coach Wilson, good morning. How are you?
Good morning, Jordy. I'm doing well. How are you?
Doing good. Got to be good for you. Feel good to be back in the state of Louisiana, I'd imagine.
It certainly does. It's always good when you can come back home.
Coach, what's up, man? It's T-Bob. Jordy mentioned Coach Frank being an excellent recruiter. That he is. He can get you fired up. He's also a great coach, though, man. I'll never forget back against Tennessee, not the famous Tennessee game, the 2011 Tennessee game. Well, I'm getting my ass kicked at the beginning of the game, all in my head, and it was Coach Frank that took me aside and said, look, man, just chill. Take a step back. You do you, and then the game went great from then on out. I don't think I ever got to thank you for that, Coach, so thank you very much, man. That meant a lot to me.
Well, thank you for snapping it when you did.
That's the other Tennessee game, but yes. Okay, so that kind of goes with where I almost want to start because me and you were a part of a lot of teams that, we'd beat people up. Maybe it wasn't the most dynamic offense I'd ever seen. What was kind of your view from afar, just hearing or seeing about what this LSU offense did last year?
It was phenomenal. I had a little inside scoop because, I talked to Coach O quite frequently, and I knew the direction they were headed in. And, the reality is a lot of those things, as you could attest to, T-Bob, we would practice a ton of things. We were varied in offensive style, and we get it spread and get it empty. It didn't always transfer to the game.
Yeah.
But we would at least be exposed to the myriad of things and get a chance in practices to glimpse what we could look like when we just spreaded it wide open. I think the biggest thing, though, they were so driven this past year on getting the ball to the right people. And so having an offense that was player-driven in respect schematically, I think just exploited all the talents that LSU had to offer this year. And it's something that you sit from afar and you yearn. I want that. I want to be able to do that with our offense and put our guys in position to be dynamic and have match-up problems. And so I applaud the job that Steve Ensminger, Joe Brady, Coach Ogeron, and that entire offensive staff did in developing an offense of style that was second to none, especially in this season.
Coach Frank Wilson joining us, head coach down in McNeese, ESPN, Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria. Second time you've taken over as a head coach. You took over at Texas San Antonio in 2016 and led that program to their first ever bowl game. What's the challenges of stepping into a program and taking over as the new head coach? What's the first thing you want to implement?
It was interesting. Our first 2 years in 16 and 17 were both bowl qualifying years at San Antonio, and we came in the back end. We were, we kind of struggled. We didn't have the quarterback play that we desired in the first 2 years. We did with a young man named Dalton Sturm, and so we really want to get consistency at the quarterback position because you know how critical it is to make an offense go. We do have a veteran player in Cody Ogeron who we're very confident in that will be able to lead us. We just have to enhance that room. We have to get quality depth at the quarterback position and continue to recruit very well in all other areas up front as well as the skill positions. But the biggest thing is the obvious. You'll go as your quarterback goes.
What's the emphasis on building a staff now that you're back in the state of Louisiana and how you have such a strong grip on the state, in particular in New Orleans? What were you looking for in building your staff?
Great teachers, guys who have the ability to take it from the classroom to the football field, to recognize it's not really what you know, it's what they know, and to have it in simplicity where the guys on offense and defense and special teams could allow our team to go out and play fast without thinking, and you're not brain locked. I thought one of the things that happened in our last year, because what I did at the end of the year, when you're fired from a job, you reflect, and you look at yourself. You look in the mirror at the things that you may not have done well. And I got an opportunity to sit down and talk to some other guys that were out of football, the Mike McCarthy's and some other coaches, and learn from them. And we would talk on a morning basis of how can I be better? What are the things that I can do best? And so not pointing the finger of what just happened, but how do we improve? And so you look at those things and you try to improve your staff, of the quality of people, of putting people in position that have shared vision that you have in developing young men and are great teachers, but also are great communicators that can go out and be able to recruit well and then teach and develop those young men.
Yeah, and that's, what crazy coaches, it's not just the on the field coaching, but obviously it is recruiting. No one knows that better than you. An expert recruiter in your own right. How do you feel? Kind of how has that landscape changed in your career in recruiting, and how different, or is it different now than it was even like 7-8 years ago?
It's changed. For us at McNeese, it's changed. You now have a Lamar football program that's right here. In Beaumont, you have a Houston Baptist team. You have Southeastern, who's playing as well as anybody. You have the emergence of Nicholls State and the good job that they're doing in our state. And so you have a lot of quality football just right in your area, up and down the I-10 corridor that we've always done extremely well in. And so it's enhanced. UL is playing lights out right now. And so the competition to get the right fit for your program in respect to those people who we will be competing against for recruits is in much more of a demand, where many years ago those guys came to McNeese because it was the standard, in my opinion, in Southland Conference football at the FCS level especially, and even got those who did not. And when guys left school, whether all the way back, when they left school, they went to McNeese. A lot of those guys now end up in Thibodeau. So we have to shore up our recruiting. We have to shore up the things that we've done so well for many years here in Lake Charles and continue to build on that. For me, T-Bob, Jordy, I'm sitting there yesterday and I'm putting guys in areas and trying to divide our state up that all 10 of our coaches are in the state of Louisiana. And I just kind of chuckled because I'm like, God, that's a lot of schools. And then, back in 2005, I'd get on 55 and cut across 20 and come down 10 and then jump to 90 and then loop back around to the River Parish and do the entire state by myself. I was like, well, it is too many, but I did it. I mean,
right.
But I wouldn't ask anybody. It was a large chunk at that time. And so, but we have very talented coaches and recruiters and communicators. So I feel confident in our style. This will allow me to be back on the road because at the FBS level, they were in spring football. I couldn't go out at all. And so I have a little less restraints in my ability now to impact recruiting, which is exciting.
Coach Frank Wilson joining us here. Coach Ocheron has made a pledge to build a fence around the state of Louisiana, both for LSU, but for the entire state as far as football programs go. You mentioned the relationship. What's that?
Hey, he has. He has been dominant. He's kind of gave us a side door key.
Yeah.
So he gets all the ones he wants, and he lets us sneak through the side door. So
that's what I was going to ask you. I mean, like, how good is it that he's been out front in that and wanting to build the relationships with you guys in being the flagship school, and you and O, like you said, y'all talk every day. The advantage of having that relationship with him and being so close to the flagship as the head coach at McNeese, what does that mean?
It means a lot to coexist, to be with, to have a relationship with our flagship state university, recognizing who LSU is and what they've done, and respect to those. The reality is, the players that they recruit, we're probably not recruiting. but we'll do a lot of things from a partnership standpoint. Like this summer when we host our high school football camp with LSU's clinic coming to be involved with it. You'll see a lot of things that are similar. Offensive style of play, you best believe we'll do professional development with LSU's offense and defensive staff. And so there'll be some carryover there. We'll have our own identity. But right now, they're the best that it is in college football, and we're going to stick close to them.
How cool is it to see all these guys that you recruited at LSU have this success at the NFL level?
It's phenomenal, and I'm fortunate enough where I still have a relationship with a lot of them, so able to talk to them on a weekly basis as they go through their professional careers. But it's always gratifying to see a young man work so hard, come from humble beginnings, and then walk across the stage with a degree in hand or have an opportunity to buy himself or his mother or father or family a new home and just really be able to care for and take care of their families or themselves more than anything. It's a beautiful thing. And so you rejoice from afar and just really happy for those young men.
McNeese got it right with this hire. New head football coach Frank Wilson checking in this morning from Lake Charles. Thank you for the time as always, Coach. Let's do it again.
Thank you guys for having me. Go Pokes.
Yes,
sir.
There
Thanks,
he is,
Coach.
Coach Frank Wilson checking in. We'll close out hour one next.